Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make this conjuration and absorption effect. So if I press the E key here, you can see that I am absorbing this rock and turning into a rock person. And if I turn here and press E again, I can conjure up this golem like this. So this is what we are going to be making today. This is created using Niagara, and here I am spawning a lot of particles. You shouldn't really spawn this many mesh particles. I will reduce this particle count to like 100. So now if I press play, I get an effect like this. And you can also change the spawn count to like 20. Or you can get something like 1500. So this is way too much particles, by the way. This is just for the tutorial. So now if I press E, so if your performance criteria doesn't allow you to use mesh particles, then you could use like a sprite renderer. And now if I press play, we can absorb the rock like this. So this is also a GPU simulator particles. So you can have a lot of particles in this way. And also, instead of this red color here, you can use a rock texture if you want. So it will look more like a rock. So this is what we are going to be making today. And if you want to download the entire project files and also support my channel, you can go to Patreon and pledge $5 and you can get the entire project file from this tutorial and the project file from almost all my previous tutorials for $5 from there. So check that out also, and thank you very much for supporting me. So to create this, first we need to create a Niagara system. So for that, right click, then go to FX, then go to Niagara Systems and click next and select the hanging particles. Then press this add icon. So this will add this hanging particle emitter to our system. So we need a system so that we can place this into the world like this. A Niagara emitter cannot be placed into the world. So I will just right click and click rename, and I will rename this NS absorb. Then I will open it up. Then here you can see these hanging particles. So I will go here and I will go to the particle spawn and I will click this add icon and type in static mesh location. So this will allow us to align our particle to a static mesh. So now we just have to click fix now, so it will just correctly align this static mesh in this rack. So I will just click fix issue. So now we also have this simple static mesh thing added. So here we need to add our rope mesh. So type in rock and this will be the SM rock. This is from the starter content. So now you can see that our particles are already aligned to the mesh like this. And now I will go to the spawn rate and I will go here and change this value to like 500. So now you can see the shape of the rope taking shape like this. So now to this we can add our mesh renderer. So click render and go to mesh render, and this will allow us to replace this sprite with the mesh that we want. So I will just unclick this sprite renderer and we will have this mesh. So to find the mesh, I have found a great mesh in the Rampage pack from the marketplace, but I think you could also find better rock meshes from other packs, or you could also model your own. So we are going to use this SM boulders. So it kind of looks good, and there aren't that many triangles on it, but maybe it's just a bit too much. You could always use this LOD system to reduce the triangle count, or you could bring your own. So we are just going to use that. So now you can see that it is very big. So in order to make this small, we can go to the initialize particle, then go to mesh attributes, then I will tick this, and I will just change this to a float. So if I click this and type in float and select vector from float, we can change this into a float value. So we can uniformly scale this in all the directions. So if you want to scale them independently in X, Y, and Z axis, you need to have the vector that we had before. But I just want to scale them uniformly. So I change this to a float. Now I can click here and type a uniform and uniform ranged float. So this means that we get this random sizes. So I will change this to a 0.5 value, and this should be like 0.02 or something like that. So it's really small. So we have something like this right now. So now in order to absorb this to our character, we need to add something called a point force attraction, and this happens during the update time of the emitter. So right now we have this simple static mesh at the spawn time. So at spawn it will be shaped into a rock like thing like this, and at the update we are going to attract this particle to a location. So if I click particle update and type in point attraction force, and right now this point attraction force is added after the solvent velocity force. That's why we have this error. That's because after all the force is calculated in the particles, in the end this solve force and velocity module will add them all together and make them work. So in order for this to work, you can either click fix issue or bring this here. So that will fix our issue. So here you can see a simulation position. So if I increase the strength to like 100, and if I increase the radius to like 1000, we can see that it is going to the simulation position. We need to change this location to the location on our character. So if I open the character up, here in the tutorial I am using the bone location here, bone socket location. For now we can use the arrow, so it will be easy to visualize. So the arrow is placed here, and we need this location to be present in the attraction position here. And also we need to be able to control the spawn rate using our blueprint. So in order to do both of that, I will show you two different ways to bring in data from the blueprint to the Niagara system. First way is to do it with the Niagara system itself. So if I press the plus icon here and I will type in float, and I will call this spawn rate underscore new. So this is basically like the scalar parameters you create within your materials. This will be present in the Niagara system, and you need to have a reference to the Niagara system in order to access this spawn rate new variable. Now we need to create a blueprint. So for that, right click, then select blueprint class, then I will call this BP underscore absorb. Now open it up. Now we can add a static mesh component, which is this rock from the starter content. So let's find that. I will bring that in like this. So we have a rock here. Now I will just add a Niagara system parented to the rock. And now I will just select this Niagara system and I will add that here. So you can see that it is getting absorbed into the middle. So now we can go to the event begin play and I will delete all of this and I will bring in the Niagara, and here we can just drag and type in set float parameter, and here we can name this parameter name this spawn rate new. If I just bring in our blueprint, here you can see that when we are not playing, this is at a value of 500. Now in order to set this spawn rate to this rate we given here, we can go to the spawn rate, then click this, and here we can type in the name spawn rate new. So now the spawn rate new is set. Now nothing is spawning, and if I set this value to like 100, and if I press play, you can see that a small amount is spawning. And now if I set this value to like 1000, you can see a lot of them are spawning. So you can set this value using a timeline or whatever, so to animate the spawn rate during runtime. So we will do that later. Now I will show you one more way to bring in data to the Niagara system from our blueprint. So this way is similar to the parameter collection we use for materials. So with parameter collection, we will just go to materials and textures and parameter collection. Material parameter collection will be accessible anywhere and within any material. Unlike this user parameter, which is only accessible if we have a reference to the Niagara system. So now to bring in the location, we will go to FX. Then we will create Niagara parameter collection. And I will call this NPC data. Then open it up. So here we need to bring in the location of this arrow. So in order to do that, I will go here and click this add parameter, and I will look for vector. Then I will just rename this location 1. So now in order to have this location 1 be used for the attraction, I will go to the point attraction, and here in the attraction position I will change this to NPC then data log 1. So this is the one we created. So now we go to the third person blueprint. Then we can go to the event begin play. Then bring in the arrow. Now right click and type in get Niagara parameter collection. And change this to NPC data. And here we will set vector parameter, and the variable name is log1, and I will get a where location from this arrow, and now I will connect this to the value here and click play. Now you can see that it is getting absorbed like this. So here you can see that it looks a bit weird because it is coming into the arrow and going ahead and reversing and coming back. So in order to prevent this, we can go to our Niagara system. Then we can click this arrow and get the kill radius and set this value to like 90 or something like that. Now if I press play, it is getting destroyed when it hits that radius or location. So now that's a lot of spawn. So even if we move around, it won't really work. That's because we are only setting this value during event play. So when the character spawns, this value is set. So if you want it to move around the player, you can go to the move forward and move right inputs and create a custom event called update movement and connect that here and call the custom event when we move. Or a very easy way to do that is to use tick. So this is just for testing and you really shouldn't do this in your game. So when I move, you can see that it is updating like this. So here you can connect a custom event that updates during movement and it will work the same. Now we need to add some random rotation to these meshes, and also we need to make them small when they are near the character, and also we need to make them change color, and also we need to reduce the number over time so it looks like we are absorbing them. And we also need to make the rock very small so that we know that it is getting absorbed. So to make the rock very small, we can actually do that in the material, but if you do that in the material, it won't update the Niagara system, and then we need to update the particle mesh normals and position, etc. So an easy way to get that done is by scaling it using the blueprint. So you can bring in the rock, then we can right click and type in timeline, and we will call this growth. Then we will connect this to play from start, and the length should be 5 seconds, and we will add a float track and shift click here and change this value to 0, and shift click here again and change this time value to 5, and this value should be 1. So the time should be 5 and the value should be 1. So our value goes from 0 to 1 over a 5 seconds time period. And I will just curve that also. Now we will just type in set 3D world scale, and I will connect this here, and I will connect the new track to the scale. So we actually need the opposite of this here. First we need to start from 1 to 0. So it will kind of shrink. So you can either set that value here, or we can just connect this to reverse from end. So it will reverse. So we get the same result. So now if I press play, you can see that our Niagara system is following the size of the rock mesh like that. So one thing I forgot to say here is that if you open up with this rock material, this is very complicated material, and we don't really want this to be running on the particles. So we can create our own material for this. So I will just right click and click material, M, rock, and open it up. So I will just bring in a rock texture like this one, and bring it here and connect this to the base color. So now this is a lit material, which means that light will affect it. If you have a normal map, it will be even better looking, but that will also add rendering cost to our material. So if you want a simple material, you can change this to unlit and connect this to the emissive. And it will look kind of flat, but it will be more performance friendly. But for now, for this tutorial, I'm just going to use default lit. Feel free to change this to unlit, and you can kind of shade the texture using some shader magic or something like that, dotting it with the light vector or something like that. You could give artificial shading to the rock texture if you want. So now that we have created this, I will click apply, and I will go to the absorb, and I will pick override material, and I will go here and I will pick override materials, and I will add one, and I will add our rock material in this one. So now if I go here, you can see something like this. Now we need to reduce the particle spawn also. So in order to do that, we can go back to the BP. We can disconnect this from here and just reconnect this. Then bring it here and connect this to here, and we will do a LR and connect this to here. And for the B value, so this is the first value because this is going in reverse. I will just promote this to a variable, and I will call this spawn amount, and I will take this eyeball so we can edit this in the editor, I mean the map. And now if I go here and if I set this value to like 50 and press play, you can see that it is reducing the amount spawning, and now it is completely gone. So after it is completely gone, you can just type in deactivate, or you can even destroy the component altogether if you want. So after it is finished, we no longer need it. We can also destroy the entire actor if you don't need the entire BP absorption blueprint. After it is done absorbing, you can destroy it entirely. So now if I press play, it gets absorbed like this, and it will go like that. So we need to make the rock particles small as this main rock gets smaller and smaller. So in order to do that, we can go to the absorption system, then here. So now I will just add some rotation to this. So click this and type in mesh rotation force, and click fix, and I will change this to a uniform vector. So that will do. So it's at different orientations. So if you want more rotation, you can go to update, then type in mesh rotation, and now we can change this to a uniform again. So there is some small rotation happening. If you want more, you can always change this value. Maybe I will just set this value to like 5 and this value to like 20. So there is some more rotations. So if you add this rotation, you probably don't need this one. So I will just disable both of them. So now we need to make this smaller as this rock shrinks. So in order to make this smaller, we can go to the absorption and we can add a new, and now we will add a float parameter, and we can call this new size. Then we can go to the initialize particles, and here we can see the maximum size. We can change this to new size. So now we can go to the blueprint again, and here we can just duplicate this, and connect this here and connect this here and change this to new size. So that's the name we given here. Now we can get another lug and we can connect this here and we will change this value to 0.1 and we will change this value to 0.5. Maybe we will change this value to 0.01. And now if I press play, you can see that it is getting smaller and smaller like that. So that's what we want. Now in order to change the color of the mesh, we need to open the mesh rock, then type in particle color and connect this to the MSC color. So here if you have an unlit material, we will just get a multiply and connect this here and connect the color here and connect this to the MC color. But right now we only need to connect this to the MC color. And now our mesh will be white if I press play. So in order to prevent that, we can go to the system and here I will just disable the box location and sphere location also. So it shouldn't really affect anything. So now we can go to the initialize particle and we can untick this. And if I press play, it will be still white. So in order to get the original color back, we need to change this value to black. So our MSC color will be black and it won't show up. So it will be like this. So in order to make this closer to the mesh, we can go to the third person character and you can adjust this however you want. And also you can go to the point attraction and change this value to like 30. So now it will be closer to the mesh. So now we need to change the color of the rock particles when it is near the character. So you could do that by calculating the distance from both this and kind of finding the center and doing that. Or you could actually do that with the lifetime of the particle. Remember, when the particle spawns, it is here, and during its lifetime, it will move from here to the character. At this value, the lifetime of the character will be 1, and here it will be 0. So if you get a particle normalized age, we can kind of map the colors to that. This isn't exactly like that. It will depend on the attraction force. So if the attraction force is very big, when the lifetime of the particle is 0.5, it will still be here. I mean the normalized lifetime, it will still reach here depending on the force we apply to the absorption. Depending on the force we apply to each particles using the point attraction force. So it isn't exactly 0 to 1, but we can get around that easily. So we will go to the absorption. We will go to the absorption material again. And we have this scale color here. I will click here and type in color. So make vector 3 from color. And here I will click this and type in curve and color from curve. So we get this, all these things, and I will select this and I will change this value to 0. I will select this and I will change this value to 0, and I will bring this closer here, and this value I will change that value to like this orange color. Just type in this value here, and now if I press play, nothing is showing up, because at this point when the particle is near the arrow, the lifetime isn't really 1, but it will be like 0.2 or 3 or something, depending on how fast it gets there. So we can move this here in this, and we are using the normalized age here. So now if I press play, still nothing. So actually this is because we have to untick this, and if I press play, you can see like this. So we can just move this here and move this here. Maybe that's too much. I will just move it closer like this. So we get that effect. Now we can change the amount here. So now I will create the conjuration particle system, and later we will put all of them together. So to create that, right click, go to FX, then Niagara system, then new, then fountain, then add that, and I will call this NS conjuration, then open it up. So here we don't really need the gravity force, we don't really need the drag, we don't really need the add cone velocity, we don't really need the sphere location. Now here in the particle update, we will type in skeletal mesh location, and here I will use the mannequin. So now here you can see that the shape of the mannequin is taking form. Now this is sampling the bones. So if you select this and change this to triangles, we get something like this. And sockets, there are no sockets, so we don't really get anything. And vertices, we get something like this also. So right now I'm just going to select triangles, and here I will just place this into the world, and right now I will just delete the absorption effect from the map. So if I press play, you can see the mannequin system here, and for this we need to get the particles to travel from this arrow location to this Niagara system location. So in order to do that, we can add another parameter collection. So here we will add another vector. So vector, and I will call this location 2. So this location will be this arrow again. So you could either do that for the different systems, or we already have that set here as log 1, right? So we can reuse that, or we could use our second location. So to keep everything clean and easy to understand, we can just duplicate this, and it's the same thing, and we can change this to location 2. Remember that you can use this parameter in this blueprint also. So you can absolutely use the location 1 that we used here for the attraction force in here also. It doesn't really change anything, but just to keep it clean, I am just creating a second parameter and adding the exact same thing like this. So here we need to make this particle go from this arrow to the mesh. So in order to do that, we can go to the conjuration, and here we can add this skeletal mesh location above the solve mesh. So now whatever we set here will be set to this particle position. So here with this skeletal mesh module, it will just sample the skeletal mesh and set that value to the position of all the particles in the emitter. So it is set in the solve force and velocity. So here if you open this up, you can see the position set to particle position. This particle position is set by the skeletal mesh location. So here we can go here and type in lerp and lerp vector. So the first location is particle position, not the initial one, but this one. We are updating this in the particle update. So we set this to that. And here for the B, we will type in log1. So here you can see that we can get the log1 from data, this log1, or we can also get the log2. So here if I type in log2, I can also get the log2. So at alpha is equal to 1, it will be at this point, and it cannot be seen right now. But if I press play, so we have an error. Oh yeah, we need to set the target to this Niagara particle. Now if I press play, see the particle system is in the arrow. And if we set this value to 0.5, this will be at a middle position from the nose, right? So what we can do here is that we can go to the solid force and velocity. Then for the alpha, we will use curve and float from curve. So now if I press play, you can see that it is going there and trying to form this mesh, but it's not there yet, but it is moving. So in order to make that appear, we can set this value, this 0 value, to like 0.5 in the time. So now you can see that it is actually forming the skeleton. So if you set this value to even earlier, like 0.2, then you can see that it is fully forming the mesh. So I will set this value to like 0.3. So now you can see that our particle is traveling from the arrow location to the mesh, and it is kind of recreating the mesh there. So now we will create our second actor. So right click, blueprint class, BP. This will be our conjuration actor. Then open it up. Then we will add a skeletal mesh. Then this skeletal mesh will be our mannequin. So its body looks like this. We will change this. Now we will add our Niagara particle system. So this one will be the conjuration. So you can see that it is forming the mesh like this. And now if we just delete this and plug in our character, you can see that it is trying to form our mesh like that. So now some of the things we need to control here is the spawn amount. So again, here this is a spawn rate. We can type in float and we can call this spawn rate new, and we can set this to spawn rate new. So here in the conjuration blueprint, we can go to the event begin play, bring this in, set float, change this value to like, I don't know, 500 or something like that, and this name is this name. So this name is spawn rate new. There is a lot of particle spawning. So this is using the sprite renderer. So if you want to use the mesh renderer, you can go here. You can either duplicate this and untick that and get a sprite renderer, or you could just untick here and just type in mesh renderer, and here this will be the same thing we use for the absorption. So it will be this one, and the material also will be the same we used here, which is this rock. And here I will go to the initialize particle and change this color to black. So now if I press play, we can see our rock going that way, like that. And we probably don't need it to be that big. So we can go to the conjuration, and now we can select the mesh attributes and change this to float, a vector from float, and again change this to a uniform vector, uniform range float, and change this value to 0.5 and change this value to 0.03. Oh yeah, this is a bit big. So I will change this value to 0.3 or 0.25. Yeah, I think this is fine. We probably shouldn't be spawning this many mesh particles, but this is just for the tutorial, so you could always adjust that in here. Now we will add a very simple dissolve effect to this mesh. So right click, M, dissolve, then open it up. Then here, so here we will bring in 3 textures. So this is the rock texture, this is the rock normal texture, this is in the starter content, and this is another texture I created, which you don't have to use. So here instead of this texture, you can use a Perlin noise or a cloud texture. All of those are in the starter content, so you can use that instead of this. So here I have a lot of textures stored in the different channels of the material. So I will use the blue channel and I will get an add node. So here I will create a scalar parameter and I will call this alpha, and I will multiply this by 2 and subtract this by 1. So this value will always make this, so when this value is either 0 or 1, it will always make this texture, the entirety of this texture, either 0 or 1. And when we add this alpha to the texture, we can get a dissolve effect. So if I just saturate this and I will connect this to the base color and I will connect this to the normal and I will change this to a masked material. And now if I connect this to the opacity mask and click apply, and if I go to the material, I can create an instance of this, and if I change this value to 1, it will be fully visible, and if I decrease the value, it will kind of erode. So what's happening here is that in the blue channel of this texture, you can see a texture like this. Here, some of these values are like 0.5, 0.2, etc. And the white values are like 1. So when we are adding this alpha value to this, we are actually making the black values to go from 0 to 1. And when we reduce the alpha, we will make the white values to go from 1 to 0. That way, when we connect that to the opacity map, this value cutoffs at 0.3 or something. So if the value becomes, so if the value from this saturate becomes smaller than 0.3, it will be invisible. And as we increase the alpha, we will add more value to the black regions of this texture. And when the black regions value changes from 0.2, 0.3 to 0.5, it will become visible. So depending on the color of these values, we can get a dissolve effect like this from 0 to 1. So that's a very basic dissolve effect. So if you want a complicated dissolve effect, you can always check my previous tutorials. So now we will just select this material instance and set this value to 0. And here we will just place that here and place that here. And in the event begin play, we will just get the skeletal mesh. We will type in create dynamic material instance. And here I will just duplicate this. And I will just promote this to a variable. And I will call this reference 1. And I will connect this here. And I will call this reference 2 and set this element index to 1 here because we have 2 material slots like this. Now we can set this here and we can get a timeline and we will call this alpha. So we will connect this after this and we will play this from start, and this value goes from 0 to 1 with a duration of 3 seconds. So the value should be 1 here. Then we will connect the update here. And then we can drag here and type in ler. So 0 to 1, we will go from 500 to 0. And here we will drag in the reference and type in set scalar parameter. So this value will drive the alpha of the dissolve. So remember we created the reference in the, remember we created a dynamic parameter here. So we are calling that dynamic parameter and changing the alpha value. So we can connect this here and type in alpha. Then we can connect this here also. So this value goes from 0 to 1. So our mesh will become visible. So here we need to connect this to here. So now it is invisible, and if I press play, see, it is visible. So now after it is visible, with a small delay we will destroy the Niagara system because we don't really need that anymore. So destroy. or you can even deactivate that. So now if I press play, it is forming the character and the Niagara system is destroyed. Now we should put all of them together. So I will go to the conjuration blueprint again. I will disconnect this from here and I will bring it here, and here I will just go to here and type in auto activate. So this won't auto activate every time we place it in the world. So untick that and then type in custom event and we will call this activate. Then here drag in the Niagara and type in activate. So when this function is called, it is activated. Then we will just play the timeline from start. And in order to activate this, we can go to the third person character. So ideally, to communicate with the conjuration blueprint, you need to create something like this. So if you press a button, you need to cast a sphere trace. So here the start location will be the arrow location and the end location will be 500 units in front of the forward location from the arrow location. And we will add a small value for C since this is a sphere trace and we need a small gap between in order to dictate an object. Then we will add a radius of 50 and this object type should be world dynamic. Our object is world dynamic. Then we need a branch and if we hit something, we will check if we hit the conjuration blueprint. So we can just drag and I mean cast to conjuration blueprint and connect this to true, and here we can call activate, right? You can do that if you are making this for a game. So in order to speed up this tutorial, I will do this in a quick way. So we only have this one conjuration blueprint in the map. So in order to call that, we can just go here and type in E keyboard. So this will get us the E key press, and here we will try get all actors from get all actors of class. Never do this for your game, by the way. This will only work in this tutorial map because there is only one of that blueprint here. If you are making it for your game, you should always find out the one that is directly in front of the character using a sphere trace and call activate that way. But for the tutorial, we can just get all actors from class, and since there is only one of those, we can just type in conjuration. So this will get all actors of class in the map. You should never really use this node unless it is unavoidable. But for this tutorial, and since there is only one actor, we can actually use that. So drag and type in get a copy. Then here we will type in call activate. And when we call activate, we can also duplicate this. So whichever location we have for the arrow at the time of activation will be passed to the Niagara system. So now if I press, oh yeah, here we need a target, and the target is this get Niagara parameter collection. Right now we really can convert this to a parameter, so we need to call this function every time. So connect that here, connect this here, connect this here. So and now if I press play and if I press the E key, you can see the conjuration happening. And now for the absorption, I will set this to a flip-flop, and I will just duplicate this, and I will just delete that, and I will connect this to lock 1, and I will connect this here, and I will connect this here. So when the first time we press E, we need to call the activate function in the absorption blueprint. So we will go to the absorption blueprint, and here we will just disconnect this and type in custom event, and we will call this activate. So again we will go here and type in auto activate and disable auto activate, and now we will just drag that and type in activate, and then connect this here and connect this to reverse from end. Now click apply, and we will go back to the third person character, and here we will change this to BP absorb, and we will just delete this. Maybe that won't work, so we will again get a copy, and now we will call activate in that also. So the first time we press E key, we will create the activate in the absorption blueprint. So now if I just bring in the absorption blueprint and press play, and if I press E key, so you cannot see anything. Let's find out why that is. So here we forgot to set the spawn amount, so we can set this to 100 and press play, and if I press E, you can see it's coming out like this, and if I press E here, it kind of makes the character. So once again I will change this value to like 1000 or something like that, and if I press E, again absorb everything, and if I press E again, I can kind of conjure up the mesh. So now I will just show you how I made the character change the alpha. So if I open this up, and if I open the mannequin body, so here I have the same setup I created for the character dissolve material, this one. So here we used a texture like this one. So here I use a bounding box based UV. This will create a gradient from the top of the character to the bottom of the character. It is kind of an expensive node, and you can also create a gradient like that using world position, or even depending on how your UV islands are arranged, even with the UV gradient you can create a top to down gradient. Now I am just doing the same exact thing I am doing there, and here if you open up the mannequin material, you can see something like that. So in order to get this, you can type in blend material attributes, and we can get A and B value and an alpha. For the alpha we will connect this, so it kind of grows from the top to the bottom. So here in the B I have connected this rock texture, this one, and this rock normal with this make material attribute node. You can get that by typing in make material attribute, and we can blend all of them together. The normal, the diffuse color, metallic, specular, roughness, everything you can blend together with just one alpha. And this alpha value is driven by a timeline in the third person character. So I have a timeline the third person character that drives the alpha when we absorb the material and when we also throw out the material. That's all I am doing. So one more time, when I press E, I'm kind of getting this, and if I press E again, I am conjuring the material. So now if you want to get the rock effect, you have to go to the third person character, and here we have to go to the event begin play, and here you can see the exact same thing I have done in the conjuration mesh. We will create a dynamic material instance from the mesh, and we will get the reference to that. We will get the reference to that like this, right? And here we have this timeline. That goes from, so we have this timeline that goes from 0 to 1 in 5 seconds, and we are setting the alpha value of the material ref. So this alpha is from the mannequin, this alpha, and we are kind of setting that. So we will play from start, and we will connect this to reverse from end. So now if I press play and press E, you can see that my texture is changing. And if I press E again, you can see that my texture changes back. So you need to add this to your mannequin. That's all you need to do to get that effect, and call this alpha. And I think that's it for the tutorial, guys. Thanks for watching.